27-24. The Chiefs play on. They will take a trip next weekend to Baltimore to face the Ravens, with yet again a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Astounding scenes throughout this game. And again, it's a kick wide right that ends a season for the Bills. Postgame is brought to you by Empower. Get your financial game on point and empower what's next. Joe Musso alongside Bryant McFadden. B-Mac, that was 3 quarters of some of the cleanest football you're ever going to see. Greats going toe-to-toe. And the fourth, things seemed to tighten, all capitalized by that missed kick by Tyler Bass. You walk away from this game feeling what?
Wow. Wow. Unbelievable game. And I was okay in seeing some extra football. If the Buffalo Bills found a way to get this game to go into overtime, I was okay with that because I was seeing high-level play coming from both sides of the football field. Kansas City did what they did. Buffalo did what they did. You talk about the quarterback star power within this ball game, Joe. Both guys lived up to the billing, right? Unfortunately, someone had to take an L, and it was the Buffalo Bills. But, Joe, when I go back and watch this ball game, outside of the Tyler Bass missed field goal opportunity, I'm still trying to figure out, how did Buffalo lose this ball game? Because as I look at the numbers, watching the guys just like you guys are watching the game, Buffalo controlled this ball game for the majority of the time, it's safe to say. They ran 78 plays, 78 compared to 47. Wow. 47. They outrushed the Kansas City Chiefs. They had 182 yards on the ground. Kansas City had 146, not too shabby either. And, of course, you know, Pat Mahomes threw the football just a little bit better than Josh Allen. But in totality, the Buffalo Bills outplayed the Kansas City Chiefs. And not to mention, Kansas City left points on the scoreboard with that Mecole Hardman fumble that went in the back, went out of the end zone that led to an extra opportunity for Buffalo. So Buffalo did everything you would want to do in this ball game, and they still found a way to lose.
It is heartbreaking.
It's hard to figure out when you watch the flow of the game and you also look at the stat book.
Heartbreaking for a season to end the way that it just did for the Buffalo Bills, and it feels like history repeats itself with that phrase, wide right, still ringing in their heads. But on the other side of that loss is a Kansas City team that called upon their best in this moment. This was, I think, inarguably the best this offense has looked for 60 minutes of football this season. Yeah, there was the Raiders game, but they showed up in the second half of this one. What did you see from Kansas City's offensive attack, that game plan, and how were they able to conjure this sort of performance in this type of moment?
Anytime there was a loophole in the back end for Buffalo, Pat Mahomes found it. Anytime there was a little piece of separation between a defender and a pass catcher for Kansas City, Pat Mahomes found it. And that's the thing about greatness, right? When you're a great player, you display greatness in different situations in a ball game. And yes, it wasn't like a Pat Mahomes iconic hero-like day when you look at his numbers, but just in timely moments of this ball game, his greatness surfaced. And those are the things that you love about playoff football, because you don't see a lot of mistakes, but when there is a mistake that surfaces, the opposing team will exploit those opportunities in their favor. And that's what we saw from Pat Mahomes. I mean, this is a guy, when you talk about not having anyone wide open, he finds a way to buy time. And when he's buying time, he breaks the pocket, he hits you with a little flipper here or there, gets you to jump, and then he gets extra yards running the football. Pat Mahomes continues to amaze me, and he has to be careful. I'm going to say this right now. Pat Mahomes better be careful, because he's on a thin line of being considered an all-time great.
I think we're there. I mean, you look at the numbers, playoff numbers specifically.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
I can count the number of guys with playoff wins more than Patrick Mahomes on one hand. I can count him on one hand.
Don't be a prisoner in the moment. Now, you say all-time great, you say he's kind of there. You got to think about who the great is now. Come on now. Tom Brady.
Oh, I'm saying next to that name. We've had the conversation before that Super Bowl head-to-head is going to, again, echo throughout history when we look back on these two careers. But if we're saying one of the all-time greats, stamp that. You could put a JMJR on that. I will sign off on all-time great. Different conversation for a different day, because there's so much football to dig into in just this game. And my eyes immediately go to Josh Allen and the effort he was able to put together in this moment. Looked like this was the perfect opportunity for Josh Allen to get one over on Patrick Mahomes, the most human the Chiefs have looked since these two started going head-to-head. If we want to talk about legacy, what does this day mean for Josh Allen's legacy as he continues to struggle to get past this Chiefs team, the limiting factor in his playoff career?
Joe, I think, you know, you let me know how you feel, but Buffalo didn't lose this ball game because of Josh Allen.
No.
You can't sit here and say, well, we needed this from Josh Allen. No, we needed a little extra of this. Nah, Josh Allen did exactly what he needed to do. He led the team in rushing, 72 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, threw for 186. And how many missed opportunities did we see with his pass catchers? I mean, we saw about 3 drops. One deep ball late in the 4th quarter to Stephon Diggs. That's a pass that we usually see Stephon Diggs come down with. You talk about Sheffield had an opportunity on the 3rd down play. He dropped the ball. And then, of course, the Shakir opportunity in the red zone, he was pressured a little bit, wasn't able to really follow through with that pass attempt. But Josh Allen did everything you wanted Josh Allen to do. And those are the things you talk about when you're playing against greatness. You cannot miss opportunities. You got to find a way to cash in those said opportunities because it could be a misplay here or there, and that's all that a guy like Pat Mahomes needs is an opportunity to be able to get back on the football field. So Josh Allen didn't have a turnover. He was smart with the football. He fought for 4 quarters. He did everything you would want your quarterback to do, plus more. But just some of the other players, in my opinion, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit.
72 on the ground, another 186 through the air, 3 total touchdowns for Josh Allen, more than 50 total touchdowns this season. I'm not sure if there's a missing piece, and I'm not sure what they need other than execution in those final moments. But again, a season comes to a close for the Buffalo Bills at the hands of the Kansas City Chiefs. And you want to talk greatness. 6 straight conference championship Sundays this team's going to play on. Patrick Mahomes passing Tom Brady with the most playoff wins before the age of 30 with this win here as well. Maybe a word needs to be said here about Travis Kelce, because much like this offensive attack, there was something lacking in Kelce's game throughout this season. He was featured in the offensive attack. What did you make of his game tonight?
I felt like he was going to have a good game. When you look at Travis Kelce playing against the Buffalo Bills, he always gets the opportunities. He cashed in the opportunities as well tonight. And most importantly, just the red zone efficiency. Finding 87 was a big-time thing for Pat Mahomes. He was able to find 87, and he came up in the clutch big time.
It was an amazing game, and it's one that comes to a close on an unfortunate note for Buffalo Bills fans. Wide right once again, this time by Tyler Bass. But it seems like every time these two teams get together, something crazy happens, and, well, the competition committee has to convene. There was obviously that coin flip a few years ago, and this time it's a fumble out of the back of the end zone. Always little between them, but once again, it's Kansas City over Buffalo, this time in Buffalo. And for more, we take you out to Buffalo, where our lead voice of the NFL on CBS, Tony Romo, joins us with his thoughts. Tony, we've been doing it all season, and I'm not sure we've seen anything like this. I want your reaction, just unbridled, coming off of this game, what you saw in the first 3 quarters, and then how that compares to what we saw over the final 12 or so minutes. Felt like everything tightened with the season on the line.
I think you're exactly right. I think really both teams a little bit. I mean, these are huge games. These are legacy-defining games for a Josh Allen. You know, Mahomes, who's already kind of started to build his, obviously, and has it. But your whole year, your whole career, your life, you're waiting for these moments to have it, and that gets you tight sometimes, and they played that at the end. But the one area I want to talk about, everyone knows how good Kansas City is, and they've been like the greatest show on turf, kind of, right, where they're all always flying down the field. But I want to talk about how tough they were at the end of this game. They won this game by turning around their toughness in some way and their attitude, because they were getting pushed around early in the game. And then in that last quarter, they really started to show their teeth and their championship DNA, and I thought that was the difference.
We also saw guys like Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco leave the game, re-enter, toughness personified when their team needed it most. Both of those guys making big plays throughout this game. I wanted to ask you just about the missing piece, because it felt like throughout this season we've obviously celebrated the defense and guys who have filled in certain spots for Kansas City, but it felt like something was missing. For them to call upon this sort of performance in this moment, yes, a lot of it comes to that playoff experience, but what can you put your finger on, that missing piece that was maybe there tonight?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's happened recently is the emergence of Rice. People forget, like, if you drop a third down pass, I mean, that's a scoring opportunity. You get to continue going on the next drive or the next play, the next series of plays. And to me, they've had so many of those things, those hiccups that happened. That happened to the Bills tonight. That was really the difference, is the drives that ended with them dropping these balls down the field. It was like you're only afforded so many opportunities in this game. And against great quarterbacks, the possessions are minimal. And it comes down to plays like that. I think they're making those plays now, and that's extending the drive. And Rice's emergence allows them to go ahead and finish off. But they've been there. They just haven't been able to execute at the same level week in, week out like they are now.
You called this a legacy game, and surely it is, as each of these adds to the story being told between the two, that being Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. What does this night, this most recent shortcoming for Josh Allen, mean as we look at the legacy? We've been painting the picture, the Brady-Manning parallels for some time now, and it took Peyton Manning some time to get that first one against Tom. Is that a similar parallel you're seeing between these two?
Yes, Jim Nance brought it up, this week. He was just comparing it when we were talking on the side, and the comparisons are really just the struggle, like Peyton Manning, his struggles to kind of overcome, and it's like, it's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It feels like they always got your number. But when you kind of break through that barrier, things get freed up. This is going to be the most devastating loss, I think, of Josh Allen's career, because they had things situated for an advantage. They were at home. They worked all year. They were playing great football. They were coming in, and they started the game great. They were running the ball, and for him, he played great today. He played outstanding. It's always going to fall on his shoulders, him and the head coach, because he's the quarterback. But it's just so hard to take if you're Josh Allen, because it's like, what else can I do? And the truth is, just keep going, doing it. You'll break through eventually. Problem is, 15 is really good. Patrick Mahomes, he ain't just going to let you do it. You got to go win it and take it from him. To be the man, you got to beat the man.
And even harder, the means by which it comes to a close here. I would be remiss if I didn't ask, and I mean, we don't have to point fingers or drag anybody in this moment, but for a position player like Josh Allen to stand there and have done everything he can and watch a third phase unable to execute, what is that like for a player to stand there helpless and watch the season come to an end?
I've always said it's why it's the ultimate team sport. Jim Kelly's a Super Bowl quarterback. We know he's a Hall of Famer and everything, but he, in my eyes, it's like Jim Kelly did everything to put his team in a position. And obviously, Scott Norwood wishes he had that kickback, same with Bass tonight. But to me, we're defined by winning. And these games are what shape your legacy and what you want to be remembered by. And it hurts sometimes when it comes down to the third phase, a kick or something just not going your way. But that's what makes it the ultimate team sport. It's hard on these guys, but he'll come back stronger from it, I promise you.
Well, it was one to watch and another chapter added to the legacy of both of these guys going head-to-head. Tony Romo, we're still trying to wrap our heads around it, but we appreciate you offering your immediate thoughts here on HQ.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Best in the business right there, Tony Romo, and we will see him next week on CBS from Baltimore. It will be the Chiefs. It will be the Ravens for a spot in the Super Bowl on the line. And you can follow that road to Las Vegas, catch every round of the NFL playoffs on CBS through Super Bowl 58. It's all streaming live on Paramount+.